Hey everyone, how's it going? Just got some time to kill for an appointment today, so I'm just sitting in my car. Just thought I'd come on and share a little bit of what's on my heart, and hopefully it'll help some people out there that are dealing with these situations in their life. Um, Oftentimes we come across people in our lives, whether it's a family member or a friend or a co-worker or something, and they're really deep in their addiction or their depression or whatever it is they're going through, and you often wonder after you have a conversation, what is it that I could really do? Am I making a difference? What's it going to take for this person to change and want to get some help? And is there anything that I can do? Well, just speaking from experience and having to go through my addiction with alcohol, there wasn't a lot that people could do for me, but they could do with me. And a lot of times I'll share with people that, and I've shared it before in my videos, that just being there for somebody and loving them and accepting them and not judging them is a big help. I mean, a lot of times we go through things, especially if it's a family member, a sister, brother, or a cousin or something, or a mom or a dad that's so heavy into their addiction or whatever it is, and you just want to walk away and just throw your hands up in the air and say there's nothing more I can do. And that's understandable. Sometimes we get into that place where there isn't really anything we can do, but love and encourage them and let them know that we're there for them. And if you believe in prayer, pray for them, because it can get very frustrating. So I always tell people, never stop encouraging them, never stop sending them texts or voicemail or whatever it is that you do. Just keep doing it, because I know in my life, and I know I've shared this before, that when I was really at the lowest of low, I could remember those people that were loving and caring, and I could feel their love and I could feel their acceptance. They weren't judging me. They were there for me and tried to encourage me. And like I shared in some of my videos, that I had a doctor that was like that. And he used to say, Rand, why are you so hard on yourself? Stop doing that, and remember God's grace. So when I was at the lowest of lowest, I could always in the back of my mind remember what that doctor said. And there came a point in my life that that just triggered something in my memory and gave me hope and gave me the strength to reach out and go get some help. And it made a big difference in my life. I mean, there are people out there, including myself, that have had loved ones that never made it. Their mental health issues got the best of them, or their addictions got the best of them. And then, you sit there and you think, well, you start blaming yourself. Well, I could have done this or I could have done that. So I tell people and myself, sometimes I got to look in the mirror and say, you know what, Randy, you did everything you could. You loved them, you accepted them, you didn't judge them. So you got to stop blaming yourself and try to figure out a way to keep their memory alive. When one of my family members committed suicide, that just sent me over the deep end. And that's when I started drinking again. And, now when I look back on it, the last conversation I had with her, I told her that I loved her, and she said, "Randy, I know you're probably one of the only ones," but I really wasn't one of just the only one. There was tons of people that loved her. But I look back and it makes me feel good that she could go away after having that conversation and know that I really loved her. And I think about some other people in my life, and a nephew took his life. And then just recently, a young lady that I loved deeply, a great human being. Our last conversation wasn't the greatest, and for a week or two, I was beating myself up and wishing that I could have had a different conversation with her. But through talking to some of her family members, her brother and all that, they told me how much that she knew that I loved her and she appreciated everything I did for her. So I've learned over the years to take all that stuff and try to turn it into something good, even though, we miss those people and we feel bad for them. So I guess, as I get older, I try to think of things that I can do. My life experience that I've experienced through losing people in my life. What can I do to keep their memory alive? How can I do something positive? So, I had to go through my struggles to get to this place. It didn't just happen overnight. But I realized one of the ways I can keep their memory alive is by trying to help others. Share my story. Share my struggles, my victories, my life experience that I've gone through in my life. And just hope that will make a difference in their life. Because most people just want to be loved. Everybody wants to be loved and accepted and respected. And so, I tell people it's hard. It's going to be hard for the first couple years. You really miss these people. And you're angry at yourself and you're angry at them. And that's understandable. And you wish you could have done more. You wish you could have put a bubble around them, especially if they're your child or something, and protected them, because that's your job. And when that doesn't happen, it's, they take their own life, or they, come to the fate of an addiction and they lose their life. As parents, we blame ourselves. That's a natural thing that most parents do. But we have to realize and stand back and be still and say, okay, did I do everything I could to try to make a difference? Did they know that I love them? And if you've done those things, then you got nothing to feel bad about. And if you hadn't done those things, just take what you've learned and use it something positive to go towards making those changes. I've talked to many parents that they just disown their kids that have addictions or don't want anything to do with them. And, one person in particular, I could remember talking to them, and I know it really hurt them the way their mother was. And some of it I could understand, but, having gone through it in my own life, and family members that have had addiction problems, I've always tried to be there for them. I've always tried to love and accept them. Probably because, I went through that in my own life. And there's nothing worse than feeling like somebody that's supposed to love you gave up on you. It doesn't give you any hope, doesn't give you any purpose. I don't have all the answers. Like I said in my last video, this particular person, I would have just wished I could have just put a bubble around her and protected her, kept her safe. But unfortunately, I couldn't do that. All I could do is love and accept her. And, the biggest thing is is to remember them who they really were. You know, that was your son, and your son was loving. Your son was your son. What was he like when he was little? What was he like when he was an adult, even though he had an addiction or whatever it is that they were dealing with? Who are they really? They're not that drug addict. They're not that alcoholic. You know, they're not that prostitute. That's not who they are. They're your children. They're God's children. And they were put on this earth to be loved and respected. And you know, they were put on this earth for a purpose. And although it's sad, sometimes they don't find that purpose. But somehow, you know, as parents or as brothers, sisters, we need to hold that torch for them and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do now that they're gone, in memory of them. I'll go and try and help somebody. We can't save the world, but I'm going to go love somebody and show them that they're loved and respected. And maybe that'll make a difference. Or go talk to people who've been set free from the drugs and alcohol. Talk to them and just see what it's all about for them. And tell your story. Tell them you lost a loved one that was very close to you, and you have a hard time understanding why this happened. Like I said, I don't have all the answers, but I do know that through all this chaos and this hurt and this anger, something good can come out of it. You know, I am at a place now where I can sit and say that. Some of you aren't there yet, and that's fine. That's okay. You're on your own journey, and I just want to encourage you with this video that, you know, there are going to be times where you miss that person. There are going to be times when you cry and you get angry and you ask why. That's fine. Just go talk to somebody about it, because it's a hard thing to deal with. You know, it's been 30-something years that I lost my family member to suicide, and I miss her. Same with my nephew. I miss him too. But, you know, life goes on. We got to try to do the best we can and try to figure out some positive things we can do to make some changes. If that means we got to go to the government and start knocking on doors to change things as far as mental health and how these people get help, then we need to do that. We need to do that together. And because we can't do it on our own. We need to talk amongst those that have lost loved ones. Comfort one another. Listen to one another. Pray for one another. Those are the things that we can do to support, you know, each other. And I know if I hadn't gone through some of the things I've gone through in my life, I wouldn't have a heart for that. I probably still would have had a heart, but not like the heart I got now. This is why God's put me here for. It's because I understand and I feel their pain. I feel your pain. So that's why I do the video. So, you know, I thought I'd just come online today and just share a brief video. Don't give up on those people that have got addictions or mental health issues. Don't give up on them. Because, you know, they've probably given up on themselves. But we don't have to. Pray for them, encourage them, love them, respect them. And, you know, go talk to somebody that's going through the similar things, or just go talk to your pastor or counselor if you're having a hard time dealing with it. You know, don't sit at home and dwell on it and think about it too much, because it'll end up ruining your life. And I'm sure that loved one doesn't want that for you. So stay as positive as you possibly can. I know it's not easy. And just keep reaching out. And, if there's an organization you can get involved with to share your story, I just highly recommend that you do that. Or if it's really bothering you, still go see a counselor and talk about it. Because you can't do it on your own. So, if you're dealing with a family member like that, just love them. I was having coffee one day. My sister and I were sitting with this couple, and we started sharing, and all of a sudden this guy started sharing a story about his daughter who's hooked on drugs and on the street in Kelowna. And that's terrible. I feel for the guy, and he suffered from addictions himself, and he's doing really good now. But the way as parents we blame ourselves, we should have done this or we could have done that. Like I say in my videos, if you need to say you're sorry, say you're sorry. Make your amends with your son or your daughter or whoever it is. If you need, to ask for forgiveness, ask for forgiveness. And that's all you can do. And try not to make the same mistakes over and over again when it comes to our kids or whatever it is. And, he goes down there and sees her. That's all he can do. And then we just hope and pray that she'll get delivered from this and come out of it living a healthy, normal life. So anyways, people, just stay safe. Keep loving one another. Keep encouraging one another. Because life's not easy. And we need to be there for each other. So until we meet again, God bless you. And may the peace of God be with you.